What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of The Girl Who Talks Sports, the podcast where we talk sports and other girly things. I'm Sam Cardona, and thank you guys so much for tuning in this week. Very excited for this week's episode. As per usual, we are going over NFL Week 3 for this week. We are just flying through already. We're already at 3. Next week is 4. Before you know it, we're in 12, and then it's the Super Bowl. So we are just moving quickly along. Our guest for this week was Ashleigh Wilson from Her Sports Convo. You guys probably know her. We've done a lot of content together in the past. She is a recurring guest on this podcast, so it was great to have her on. We talked about a lot of NFL storylines. It was fantastic. We even talked a little bit about the Giants and how they pain me. I'm actually, if you're watching on the YouTube video, you can see I'm wearing my Bills shirt today because some sort of New York red, white, and blue team needs to bring me some sort of joy, and the Buffalo Bills seem to be doing that for me so far. But obviously have to do our quick little plugs before we get into everything. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on all podcasting platforms and leave a review where you can. Very helpful for me. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. I keep saying this every week, but I promise you they are coming. Extra content videos are coming for this NFL season. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you turn the little bell on to make sure you get notified every time I upload a new YouTube video. And if you're watching right now on the YouTube video, please make sure to click that little thumbs up. I would very much appreciate it. Thank you so much. And guys, don't forget to follow me on our social media platforms. Twitter is TGWTS Podcast. I live tweet every NFL Sunday during the red zone hours. It is a blast, and that is how I get my emotions out throughout the afternoon on Sundays, because otherwise I would probably die. So you can follow me on Twitter there. You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at The Girl Who Talks Sports. Very fun environment in both of those places. And also, I feel I haven't really been plugging this that much, but I do a Giants live stream every single Thursday at 7 p.m. on Big Blue Avenue. You can go to the Review and Preview Facebook page, give that page a like and a thumbs up, and you can watch us there every Thursday at 7 p.m. We will go over the Giants game from before. We'll preview the game that's coming up. It is a very fun time, especially when we haven't won a game yet. So anyways, so I have that going on, and is there anything else I need to share with you? This is like old news, but if you guys want merch is still available. I'll put the link is always in the description, but check out the merch store down below because all of the designs that I have created for the podcast are available. You can get them in t-shirts, long sleeves, sweatshirts. There's still the tea time mug that's available, so make sure to check that out. Before we get into our interview with Ashleigh, we're going to hear a quick little word from Buzzsprout. It's going to give you all the information about starting your own podcast if you'd want to. It is very helpful. I use it every single day, basically doing this podcast, so it's very helpful. So we're going to hear a quick word from them, and then we will get into our interview with Ashleigh going over NFL Week 3. I know one of the best decisions I've ever made was to start this podcast. And I'm sure some of you have thought about starting one as well. But the question is always, where do you start? Buzzsprout is the best and easiest way to start your own professional podcast. They've already helped over 100,000 people launch their own podcast, including myself. They can get your podcast on every major podcasting platform. They provide you with your very own podcasting website, audio players to drop in other websites, detailed analytics, tools to promote your episodes, and so much more. Buzzsprout also publishes new blog posts, podcast episodes, and YouTube videos every week. To start your very own podcast and get a free $20 Amazon gift card, click the link in the show notes. Buzzsprout will know that you were sent by me, the girl who talks sports, and help support the show. Buzzsprout, the easiest way to start a podcast. What's up, everyone? Welcome back. We are super stoked to go over NFL Week 3 this week. We are joined by the lovely Ashleigh Wilson from Her Sports Convo, a returning guest. I'm so stoked to talk to you today, Ashleigh. How are you? Thanks for coming on.
I am good. Football's back, baby. It's not 9 million degrees outside. It's a good time.
Oh, I love when the weather starts to cool down and you can, like, I have long sleeves on today. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I'm not like to that point. Like I'm still out here vibing in my shorts and t-shirts, but I'm not like drip sweating the moment I walk out the door.
You're also more south than me.
Yes.
I'm a little bit more north, so it evens out. But we have a lot of things to talk about, and I'm really excited to get into this week. But before we do, why don't you tell everyone a little bit about Her Sports Convo and where they can find you?
Yes, if you're a newbie here, one reason why did it take you so long to come hang out with my girl Sam, but also you should come hang out at Her Sports Convo. Every Monday, I post a video on my main channel where I just kind of help you out on some sports topics, give you a little knowledge. So if you ever find yourself at a trivia game, I helped you out. On a Thursday, you can check out the podcast episodes where I go over all the hot topics in sports. I talk about anything from the WNBA, the NBA, the NFL, women's hockey. Last week, I had on a guest and we talked about lacrosse. Didn't talk about lacrosse the whole time, but we dabbled in lacrosse. So come over. It's a great time every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Perfect. All right. So let's hop into NFL Week 3. And I'm going to start off with, opening my heart up and talking about this loss of the New York Giants, because it has just been a rough 3 weeks for me. Like, without a doubt, I am just struggling to find the silver lining in this team. They lost to the Falcons, rather. And it was a pretty tough loss with a field goal at MetLife Stadium. We were honoring the one and only Eli Manning, and we just let him down. It was just ridiculous. But I know how I'm feeling, and I have like a lot of thoughts, and I'm processing a lot of things. But I kind of want to get an outsider's point of view as someone who's not a New York Giants fan. What is your perception of this team? Because I have my reasons to who I think is the problem, but from someone who's not like has their heart tied to this organization, what are you feeling about this New York Giants being 0-3 this year?
I'm not shocked. One, because it's like the Giants. The Giants are kind of like the kid in school every year. The teachers are just like, okay, this year this kid's gonna really get it together. They're gonna do their summer reading. They're gonna do their homework every night, and then the school year starts, and they're like, oh, same old Giants, same old New York Giants. It's at first, people thought it was Eli. They were like, Eli's not good no more. He's washed up. Eli left. Eli's now having 9 million shares on ABC, cracking it up with Peyton and all those commercials.
Yes.
And now you have Daniel Jones, and Daniel Jones, he's beige. Like I don't see Daniel Jones in the same light I would see Eli Manning. Like I don't expect him to bring home a Super Bowl. Not saying he won't, but I'm saying they have very high expectations of a very middle level quarterback. And then you have no line, defensive or offensive, because if you watch, you see they're just running through there like it is a gravy train, and it is just not good. So I don't even know where you would start, but I feel like they should start somewhere, because in the offseason, didn't they get like a whole bunch of wide receivers? Like, what's the purpose of you having people who can catch if you have no one who can actually throw the ball to them? Not saying Daniel Jones can't throw the ball, but Daniel Jones is also not going to go the ball further than a little pitch down or maximum, down to the next marker. Like, to play in the NFL, especially in this state, you got to have those explosive plays. If you don't have a running quarterback, you got to have the explosive plays, and they just don't have that.
To be fair, I mean, Daniel Jones has been moving around. He's been running down the field. Last week he had 95 rushing yards. So
because he's trying to run away from the other team because no one's helping him. He's scared.
I mean, it's fair. Our offensive line is horrid. Like they give him no time. And when he does make it down the field, he throws the ball. It's like the receivers are there. Sometimes they're not, or they're dropping passes. It's a really hard watch. I'm still a Daniel Jones sympathizer. I'm all on board with him. I don't think it's his fault. I think there's a lot of other problems here. One of them being our offensive coordinator, who is Jason Garrett, and I've never liked him in the past. I don't like him here. I think that it's just not working. So somebody's got to go, whether it's the GM. I don't think they would fire our head coach, Joe Judge, just after 2 years. I feel like they'll give him another year to figure things out, maybe 2. But I'm just like, it is just so hard to watch this team sometime. And we just lost our best linebacker with Blake Martinez. He tore his ACL and he's out for the season. He is a captain. He's a defensive play caller. It's just, I have no words for this team. And I usually like can't talk about them on my podcast because I'm like, I can't deal with it. I cannot deal with it. But do you think that they are going to win any games this year?
I think they're going to win like 2-3 games. I don't see them winning many more than that. Like I said, something could happen. You know, any given Sunday, it's a thing.
Right.
But there's any given Sunday, we're going to give them about 2 or 3. If you're a betting person, I would not bet over 5 for them because I just don't see it.
I had such high expectations because we got Kenny Golladay in the offseason and they got this random Florida receiver with Kadarius Toney in the first round of the draft. And I was like, okay, I'll give him a shot. He's causing issues. He's a little bit of a diva, I think. So that's not great. And our next 5 matchups are Buccaneers, Chiefs, Rams, Saints, and Panthers. Well, I don't see us winning any of those games.
There's always January.
There is. It's just so painful. It's a hard watch. It really is. I just want them to just come out and be the team I know that they can be. And there's just so many issues though. And it's very tough.
It's from the top down. Like, because like I want to know what they sold Kenny Golladay. Because like you could see like him on the sidelines last week. And even if he's like, this is not what you told me about. Like, why did I come here? I could have stayed in Detroit if I was just going to lose every game. Like, I moved me and my whole family down to New York just to lose every game. Like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah. And I think that is a very good transition, speaking of Detroit, because I also want to talk about Detroit Lions here. Because so if we're comparing teams who haven't won yet, the Lions are 0-3 and the Giants are 0-3. But I think that the Lions as an 0-3 team are better somehow than the New York Giants. I think that they have been playing their hearts out. I think Jared Goff seems to be thriving in this environment, and they're just doing a lot better than I expected them to do. I mean, they haven't won a game yet, but they've been coming very close. What are your thoughts on this team? Do you think we're underestimating them at all, or are they still these normal Detroit Lions we've seen so many times in the past?
I feel like they're figuring it out. Maybe it's the crackhead coach who's just like, having, sugar sticks every single game, the whole entire box, and asking the team if they would like some mixed with some Mountain Dew. But, they're not awful. Like, they're almost in pretty much every game, especially this week. And maybe it has to do with the teams that go to Detroit that they're playing, that they can't quite figure it out. But we're still in that like hard season where you can't like definitely be like, oh, this team is awful, this team is good. Like, it's technically only week 3, even though somehow, for I know you personally, it probably feels like it's week 13.
It's exhausting. I feel like years have been taken off my life, to be honest with you, especially that Thursday night game from last week with the Washington football team. That was, I don't even want to relive that. But this Detroit time, I mean, I think that the only reason why the Detroit Lions lost this game to the Ravens, who played bad, I think the Ravens played very bad in this game, is because they had Justin Tucker, like one of the best kickers in the league, who made a literal NFL history kick on that field goal with 66 yards. That is, if it was any other team and had played the same way, they would have won that game. Which is bonkers to think about, that the Ravens literally just beat Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. And then they come in this week and look horrible against the Lions? Like, what is going on?
They're tired. Hollywood was tired. All I'm going to say is Hollywood Brown, that man needs to be called like Brunswick County Brown, because it was bad. It was bad.
3 drop passes.
That would definitely been touchdowns.
Yeah, no, that was just really bad. I know that Lamar was coming off of an illness, quote unquote, like he wasn't feeling well.
Everybody's having these like vague illnesses nowadays, and I'm like,
I know.
If I was playing them, I'd be like, I need some concrete evidence because we're living in a time where illness is just not good enough.
Right. Like we can't be like just saying like, oh, I feel ill. And it's just like, well, do you have the ill? Do you have the COVID? Like it's and the whole thing too with Andy Reid yesterday. Did you see that he was taken to the hospital?
Like no one goes to the hospital on a Sunday after 5 p.m. for precautionary tests. Like you go on Monday morning at your 10 a.m. appointment for your precautionary test.
I don't know. That was really weird. Apparently he's back now. I read a tweet before that said that he was.
Yeah, they were like, he's fine. I'm like, what?
Then like, why say that he was literally like rushed to the hospital? That he was just like, oh, I don't feel good. I shouldn't even address the media. It's weird.
Shady.
Yeah,
they're 1-2 and now they're shady.
Yeah. Oh, the Chiefs. And we're going to talk about them. But to talk about the Lions just a little bit more, they have, apart from Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown, who was just doing terrible. I mean, they kept giving the ball to DeAndre Swift too, who had 107 yards and a combined runs and catches of 21. TJ Hawkinson is a really good tight end too. I've heard that he has attended tight end university, which is a great diploma to have on your wall with with all those tight ends. But yeah, I have the feeling that the Lions are going to win a game at some point this year, and people are going to be very surprised.
Yeah, most definitely. They're doing too well with DeAndre Swift in their system. And because that was something that they've always struggled with was a running game. So the fact that they kind of figured that out, and like we all know Jared Goff can throw, and they'll find someone to catch a ball sooner or later. So it's the pieces are working. Like you could see last week, the pieces are working. Now the Ravens were falling apart Sunday. That's kind of how the pieces were working. But if you take that part out of the equation, it still looked kind of good.
Yeah, no, I'm convinced that the Lions are going to come out and win a game. I mean, they were playing Aaron Rodgers and the Packers last week in prime time, and they even held them off for a little bit. I mean, they lost, obviously, but they don't look bad. And that's what's really surprising to me. It's just, I have a feeling they're going to come out and win against a team that's like nobody's going to be expecting them to win against. And the narrative is going to start to shift, even with their crazy coach.
Super Bowl champs, Detroit Lions.
Hot takes in Detroit. In this division is to transition are the Bears, who are having a little bit of a hard time here. Justin Fields started for the Bears this week. I would just like to say that many weeks ago I said that this was not a good idea to put him in this early. I thought it would happen, but I didn't think it was a good idea. And it showed. The man completed 6 passes for 20 attempts, 68 yards. He was sacked 9 times, and they technically had a 67-yard loss and he threw for 68 yards. So they basically had 1 yard passing. Not a great NFL start for Justin Fields. What were you thinking?
I love Justin Fields. As you know, this is a Justin Fields stan account that I run. Fell in love with him on QB1 Beyond the Lights. And that's not very common because I usually don't like any of those children who are on that show. But they kind of set him up for the okie doke. Like, you're going to put him, his first game, against Myles Garrett and Jefferson Ockel, the guy from Notre Dame. He's also a rookie, but like we're gonna set him up for that, knowing that your O-line is Jello pudding. Like
literally.
Like
the offensive line didn't even show up for this game, I don't think.
They were like, oh, are we supposed to stop? Oh, my bad, Justin. Yeah. I'm gonna get him next time. Oh, the next time. But now some of those sacks were not just the O-line. It was Justin's fault too, because like that's the one thing that I feel like people forget is that we were blessed as a football community with some really good rookie quarterbacks, or just young quarterbacks in general, from Lamar to Patrick. We can go on all day, but the rookies are playing like rookies. Like they're making these dumb mistakes by trying to run around and run away from these defensive MVPs of 500 years instead of just throwing the ball away, just doing the simple things. They're trying to be a hero, which doesn't surprise me because, they were the hero in college. They were the hero of their heyday. And they're also actually the age they are. They're not, no one's redshirted this year. Like they were all, 21, 20, that age. So they're just young. And these are growing pains that, like you said, they set him up for failure because he's not ready in here. And obviously you're not ready in your scheme to have anyone in there.
No, not at all. It was just, you can tell he was like a little bit nervous. It's your first NFL start. You obviously want to play well, but also like he was struggling against this Cleveland's defense. It was horrendous. Like I said, 9 sacks and 4.5 of those were Myles Garrett. So could you imagine that man just running at you like literally every play? Like
walking. I'd be like, okay.
You're like,
excuse me, I'm in the way. You're not in the, I'm in the way.
I will move out of the way. No, it was just not great. And he probably got tired from picking himself off the ground. Like it sucks. But the Bears as a whole, I think their whole quarterback situation is just a dumpster fire. Matt Nagy came out today and said, oh yeah, well, at this point, like anybody can start, like including Nick Foles. So that's 3 quarterbacks that you have: Andy Dalton, Nick Foles, and Justin Fields. Any of them could start next week. Like
this one, put Khalil Mack at quarterback. I mean,
with the foot injury that he got.
Like I get it. They're not focusing on the right things. Like you should have had a definite quarterback during the off season because that's going to determine how you're going to be in the in season. Because the quarterback is the heart of the offense. Because if you look at their defense, it's not that bad. Like their defense isn't that bad, but their defense shouldn't be responsible for scoring points as well as stopping the other team. And they just have no leadership on offense because no one knows who's going to be on the field the next play.
Yeah. Same vibes as like last year with Miami when they were switching between Ryan Fitzpatrick and Tua. Like neither one knew who was going to start or who was going to come into the game. It's like, yeah, okay, so you can say that like, okay, now Andy Dalton's going to start. Okay, actually, we're going to put Justin in. Okay, actually, Justin's going to come out and Nick Foles is going to go in. Like, they don't know how to lead a team if they don't think that it's their offense. And then you have to change the scheme for every single quarterback. I think that was part of the issue. I think they were playing an offense with an Andy Dalton scheme and a Justin Fields quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Which does not, that's like trying to like jam 2 puzzle pieces that don't fit together. So the Bears are just, I don't think they're going to figure it out this year. And honestly, I think Matt Nagy is going to be one of the first coaches to get fired.
Oh yeah.
Like mid-season, possibly.
I mean, because they're basically trying to do what the Saints are doing, have 2 quarterbacks play. But the fact that it works for the Saints is because everyone talked about it prior to them putting, Jason Tatum, whatever his name is. That's not Jason Tatum is the basketball player. Actually, what are you?
Taysom Hill.
Yes.
Jason Tatum. Wrong sport.
Wrong sport, wrong race, just all those things. But because like it works because they know, like he knows his lane, Winston knows his lane, and the offense knows what's going on. Like you just can't throw someone in there and just expect everyone to know what's happening.
Yeah, it's really not working for them. And honestly, all of the rookie quarterbacks, like we were saying earlier, none of them did well. I don't think any rookie quarterback won this week. No, because Trevor Lawrence lost against the Cardinals. Mac Jones lost against the Saints. And Zach Wilson certainly lost against the Broncos. The Jets have not scored in 6 quarters.
I'm not shocked.
That is tough. I think I have it tough as a New York Giants fan. The Jets don't score points on the board.
Like literally not shaming BYU, they're great or whatever, but BYU wasn't really playing who they're going to be playing, when you go to the NFL, and like it's kind of slapped Zach Wilson in the face, like, oh, maybe I should have stayed until they got to the Big 12 and we played big teams.
Yeah.
Why wasn't doing all this?
I don't think it's the rookie quarterbacks' faults in any of these respects. I think it's the team.
They're setting them up for the okie doke.
Right.
They're shocked that they're being okie doke.
It's just, it's like you can blame Trevor Lawrence. You're like, he's the first pick of the draft. And I'm like, okay, he started in 3 NFL games. You want him to be a superstar already? Like, doesn't work like that.
And he's one person on a 22-person situation, offense, defense, and special teams. Like, what do you want him to do? Like, yeah. I'm not a lover of Trevor Lawrence. No hate, but he's not my favorite. And I mean, some people are being mean to him for no reason, when you should take a look in the mirror and look at the coaching staff who is supposedly preparing these people for these situations.
Yeah, like, it's, first of all, it's literally a football game. Like, we shouldn't be making fun of anybody. And also they don't care. They're making money doing this. Like, it's
causing you more stress.
Yeah, like they're going home. Trevor Lawrence is going home to his super cute wife in his huge ass house and living his best life. He's fine.
The check will be deposited in his account on Tuesday morning.
Literally.
Will it be cashed into yours? No.
Yeah, so we should just take it down a notch on the rookie quarterbacks. They're working their way and they're trying their best. Not rookie quarterbacks, however. I am so excited to talk about this game because I'm so excited for the Chargers. Chargers and the Chiefs played against each other, a division game, and the Chargers won over the Kansas City Chiefs. And I think that Justin Herbert and the Chargers won this game. There was nothing that the Chiefs were like, oh, they were still playing good, and like it just happened that they got the last of the time. No, the Chargers won this game. The Chiefs did horrible on turnovers. There was like 4 turnovers. 2 of them were interceptions by Patrick Mahomes, which is very unlike him. I think this Chiefs team is starting to wobble off the edge a little bit.
Yeah, like, no one's scared of them, because you were like, back at like two years ago, everyone was like, oh my God, we're playing the Chiefs. Like, let's not lose by 30 points. And now it's like, we got a shot. And I think that really has to do with Lamar in a way, kind of how, like, yeah, Lamar finally got his first win last week, but like he kind of, every time he played for Patrick Mahomes, and he kind of like chipped away and showed a little bit that like they're not that great. Like, they're good, but they're still human. Like, they put one leg in on their pants every time. And now you can see that they have kind of the same offense, but it's not really the same offense. And to me, I think they're resting on the fact that they ran the AFC for a good amount of time. And no one's really a competitor for them in the AFC. If they were still playing at their same caliber, they would be going to back AFC champions. But I mean, right now, I feel like it's wide open.
Yeah, and this division in and of itself is, especially with the fact that the Chargers just beat them. Last year, the Raiders were able to beat them like in prime time. So I have a feeling that when the Raiders end up meeting up with the Chiefs, it's possible that they get a win on them. Like, the Chiefs, again, they're great, and they actually are signing Josh Gordon, who has just been reinstated into the NFL.
He needs to quit.
I know. I feel bad for him because he does have like a major drug issue, but like he keeps on. I feel like Josh Gordon has been in the league since I was like an infant. Like, he's been around literally forever. And I'm like, how old is this man? How many
he's
times?
In for a year and then he's suspended for 4.
And then how does he keep coming back? It's crazy. But apparently that's the word around the Adam Schefter Twitterverse, is that he's signing with the Chiefs. So maybe that makes their offense a little bit better. But Justin Herbert is out here throwing bombs, doing amazing things as a quarterback. I mean, I love Justin Herbert. It literally is just a sunshine in my life. Like, seeing the Chargers win, I was like, all right, that cures my slight heartbreak from the Giants loss. But he threw 26 for 38, 281 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. Beautiful. I think he's doing great. And I think that the Chargers are going to have a fantastic rest of their year.
The Chargers, like the way they ended last season, like gave him that confidence he needed, and now Justin Herbert, he's smelling himself. Like he's like, okay, like I'm kind of cute. Like, hold up, wait a minute now. The girls are sliding into my DMs now. They're out of Trevor Lawrence's because now he's a loser, and they're into mine because I'm a winner.
Yeah, no, they're the Chiefs, I think, should be slightly afraid. And like even just from the Dolphins Raiders game from yesterday, that overtime game, that's the second overtime game that the Raiders have been in this year, and it's only week 3. So they have literally played more overtime games than they have regulation. So I think the Raiders are something to be nervous about too.
Okay, let's slow our roll there, Sam. Let's that the train up. Because we're not in the business of hyping up Mr. Derek Carr. He
looks good.
He's doing basic stuff. Like, I don't understand this Derek Carr hype. Like, what was it? It was like one day I saw this thing and it was like best quarterbacks in the league. Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, and Derek Carr. I was like, what are you smoking? Because he's not bad. He's just okay. Like, I don't expect Derek Carr to, go out there and pull an Aaron Rodgers and win the game with 37 seconds left, no timeout. Like, I don't know. I just, like, he seems like a good person. He seems like a good quarterback, but I just don't expect the fireworks, the cannons, and when the game's on the line, even though he's done it, like the game's on the line, if I was a Raiders fan, I wouldn't expect him to put the team on his back and do it.
I think part of the Raiders that is making Derek Carr look so good is the fact that the defense is so good that they are holding off the team that they're playing with putting up points to the point where they can literally tie a game and go into overtime. But I don't know. I think Derek Carr is a very good quarterback. I think that he's doing what he needs to do to win a game, but I think there's a lot of other factors within the Raiders that are very good. I mean, their defense has just been every single week just so good. So in terms of the AFC West as a whole, I mean, the Broncos are undefeated.
Teddy.
Teddy has found his team, I think. Teddy is just doing, like, he's living his best life in Denver. Like, it's just this whole thing is like the Chiefs are in last place. They are 1-2 in last place in this division. And if you told me that 5 weeks ago, I would be like, are we in the right simulation? Because I don't think so. But do you think the Chiefs will still win this division?
Probably. Because everyone else, they'll probably like hit a road, but like they'll have one bad game. And then they'll be like, oh my gosh, the season's over. We're no good. And then, because Patrick was getting at him yesterday. He was
mad.
He was like, y'all are losing me Head and Shoulders commercials, so y'all need to get it together.
I have to call Troy Polamalu and tell him that I'm losing.
Like, they're canceling our shoot for next week. Y'all need to get it together.
We literally have to figure this out now, or I won't be able to hang out with Troy Polamalu. No, I do think that, I mean, it's still, like you said, it's week 3. We can't start making these assumptions that it's like, oh, the Chiefs are washed up. Like, they're not washed up. They're just having a hard couple of weeks here. I'm sure that the Chiefs end up coming back, but I will stand my ground on the Chargers. If the Chiefs win the division, the Chargers take the wild card spot. That's my thought.
Like I need the Chargers to do well for my fandom of Tyrod Taylor to stand. Like the way he went out there, like I need them to do it. But like, it was worth it. It was worth it. So Justin Herbert can, excel the skies in the sea.
Tyrod Taylor made that happen.
If it's not going to be worth it, then I'm going to be like, what was it all for?
Yeah. Tyrod Taylor made that happen. He took that needle in the lung for the Chargers to be where they are today.
They need to send this man checks. He needs royalty checks.
I feel so bad for him that he's literally hurt again. And another rookie quarterback has come in.
I would sue the NFL if I was. I would be like, because y'all are conspiring against me.
I feel so bad for him. I hope that he makes a speedy recovery. I think he's got a hamstring injury. But to piggyback off of our Raiders conversation and this Dolphins Raiders game, I just have to say, Jacoby Brissett put it all out there for the Dolphins. I mean, he did everything he possibly could to get them into overtime at least, right?
Yeah, I mean, even though every time I see his name, I feel like Jacoby Brisket. No, he's not. He's a man, not a cut of meat. I was like, get it together. But I mean, honestly, if they knew Tua wasn't their guy, like that, if I saw him, I'd be like, I want that to be my backup. Like, because I mean, I feel like he doesn't get the respect he deserves because, he was in Indiana and no one really cares about the Colts, And so ever since Peyton left, it's just been like, oh yeah. And then Andrew retired, and it's gonna be like, oh yeah, they do have a team over there. And that's kind of where he got washed up and forgotten, left on shore. But he made a name for himself. Like he was running, he was throwing, he was cheering people on, and I want that to be my backup.
Yeah, he's a great backup, and I think that it's enough that he's doing what he needs to do as a backup and waiting for Tua to get healthy again. And then when Tua comes back, I doubt that they don't put Tua back in. Like they're gonna put Tua back in when he gets healthy, and Jacoby Brissett will then remain the backup. Like I don't think that they would start Jacoby Brissett over Tua.
Nah, they having the Tua Ryan drama last year was just too much for them to do it again this year.
Yeah, no, it would just be, I don't think Tua would be able to like figure out his own, like he'd be like, where am I in the world? Like, I don't know where I belong. Like I would feel like that's how I would feel if I was Tua. So, but Jacoby Brissett, yeah, he threw the ball 49 times, completed 32 passes, 215 yards, a touchdown on the ground. They're pushing through without Tua. And I think that, like you said, decent backup to have, but
they have a pretty good defense too.
They have a great defense. Brian Flores as their head coach, I think that he really, because he was the defensive coordinator in New England. So I think that he really hones in on the defense and they have perfected it. And they're part of the reason why I think they are a little bit better than they should be. But otherwise, I mean, they're showing some sort of promise, but I don't know how the Dolphins are going to fare for the rest of the season. Depends.
They're leaning on the good side of the scale, but they're still kind of in the middle,
Yeah, definitely. But they did what they needed to do yesterday. They did get that loss, but they got a division win over the Patriots. What was that, week 1 or week 2? I don't even remember. I'm like all this.
I think that was last week.
I think it was last week too. But moving on, we'll hop over to the NFC here, and we're going to talk about the Rams because the Rams are fantastic. I knew they were going to be good, but I was like a little skeptical because I was like, I need to see Matthew Stafford like play on this team and like be this quarterback that everybody says he's going to be. Oh my goodness. Between him and Cooper Kupp, who have literally just been like connecting like nobody's business, and they eat breakfast together every morning. This team is something special. It really is.
Oh yeah, like Matthew Stafford packed his bags. He packed up the kids and the wife and was like, "We're going to Cali." And I mean, he's left his mark. Game 1, I was like, "Oh, this man's serious." He's like, "I'm done losing. Not an option." And he's convinced me. I'm a fan. Like, let's go, Matthew. He was doing stuff, I think, because their coach is now doing the offense, and it has like allowed them to open up the book. And that was something he's never had the opportunity to do in Detroit, was just to have a full-on book open of you can just throw the ball, we're doing big plays, we're doing trick plays. And it was just kind of like, it was like, we're doing this, we're not doing anything else in Detroit. And now he's, it's more of a conversation when it comes to the quarterback room instead of I'm the child, you're the adult.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he's definitely found his place in LA, and he's, the fact that he stayed in Detroit for as long as he did baffles me. Like, he should have left after Calvin Johnson was like, "See you guys, I'm leaving. Thanks for like never doing anything for me ever." And like Matt Stafford should have been like, "Okay, he's leaving. I should reevaluate and like maybe I go to a different team." But I don't know. He stayed there for 11 years. Like, That's a long time.
It was
that
7
team.
years too long.
Agreed. I wholeheartedly agree, because that's when he should have left, after Calvin Johnson was just like, peace, I'm done. But now the Rams look phenomenal. They have a great run game. They have a wonderful defense, which I think is part of the reason why they are as good as they are, because Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey alone have just obliterated offenses for them.
They look like they're having so much fun on defense. Like,
they do.
Like, we have to give the credit to defense this week. Like, the defensive guys, they stepped up this week. Because I feel like every single quarterback was like throwing interceptions or fumbling the ball this week. And their defense really stepped up. Obviously, other teams stepped up more because, people had to lose. But a lot of defense stepped up. And I really realized, guys, like, maybe that's just my love for the D-line and the defensive guys that really, showing out right now. Because, like, I appreciate the offensive, but they get too much hype sometimes. Like, we need to spread the love to the defense guys too, y'all. Come on now.
No, this defense is so good, and the offense is so good, and that's what makes this team fantastic.
So good.
I saw somebody say that Stafford and Cooper Kupp are the Tom Brady and Randy Moss of this era, of this year, which I don't know if it's a fair comparison yet, but I feel like it could be. Do you think the Rams, is it fair to say that the Rams are Super Bowl contenders?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, if not their team, their stadium. I mean, people are just showing up just to go to their stadium nowadays, because I mean, they're a good team in a good city with a good state. Like, people, I'm buying what they're selling. And they finally got it all together. Not saying that Jared Goff couldn't have pulled it off, but I think Jared Goff didn't go through enough struggle to want it as much as Matthew Stafford wants it, because he knows he's coming to the end of his road and he's running out of time. Mm-hmm. And that's why he's giving it 175%. And I love to see it.
It would be crazy if 2 years in a row the stadium hosted like the actual team, because Tom Brady played in Tampa Bay last year, and to have Matt Stafford play in LA in the Super Bowl, that would be outlandish, because that's like, last year was the first time that ever happened, right? Mm-hmm. Like the team playing in the stadium. So for it to happen 2 years in a row, that'd be bonkers. But yeah, the Rams, I think, are definitely a lot better than I was expecting them to be in my brain. Like, I knew they'd be good, but I think that they are one of the best teams in this league right now, and they're going to do some fantastic things, and I'm excited to see what they end up doing in the future. But last game that we're going to talk about, since we are recording on Monday, so there's no Monday night recap because it hasn't happened yet, and I'm terrified because it's Eagles Cowboys, and I'm like, I don't even know who I want to win, if I want anybody to win. If it was a tie, it'd be great. But Sunday Night Football was hands down one of the best Sunday Night Football games I feel like I've seen in a while. Aaron Rodgers coming out against San Francisco 49ers. Like, what a game. I think that the Packers are back to where we expected them to be, like, as a team.
Yeah. Oh yeah, if I could live a day in the life of a Packers fan, it must be amazing. Like, to know that no matter what, your quarterback, like, oh, it's okay. Aaron's got us, and he always does. Like, that's his brand. That's his brand. Like, if there's 10 seconds left on the clock, we're gonna win this game, no matter what. And it's always true. Like, he's so good. And maybe it's like his fact that, because like he made comments talking about like, I've always been in love with football. Like, football is so romantic and stuff. And I'm like, oh, I love this man. Like, he's just here for the game, because like we all know Aaron Rodgers has an unnecessary amount of money. And he also kind of proved that, because like he could have walked this season. Like, he could have walked, left the money on the table and been like, I'm done. I'm going to hang out in Hawaii. Like, I'm moving, but he still loved the game and he still had the game to play. And he showed that tonight. Like, will Aaron Rodgers win a double MVP back to back?
Yeah. Yeah. Aaron Rodgers, first of all, the fact that, since you're bringing up money, they literally offered him a contract that would have made him the highest NFL player in the league And he said, no, that's not what I want. And then stayed with the Packers anyway. Like the Packers offered him all this money and he said, no, that's not the point. And that was part of his whole, off-season drama. But the San Francisco 49ers got down the field. I think Jimmy G did everything that he could in his power. Like the 49ers looked good, but giving him 37 seconds on the clock, I don't know what that defense was thinking, not covering Davante Adams.
Oh yeah, like it's Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers. Like, come on now. Why? What are we waiting on?
I don't know. It was weird. And also, I mean, that when Davante Adams went down with what I assume was a concussion, that was really scary.
What was that concussion protocol? He was gone for 30 seconds. He was gone for 30 seconds.
He came back in the game, and then like his post game like conference, he was like, yeah, I'm built differently. I'm like, no, you're not, Davante. You just were able to come back in because the trainers were like, yeah, you'll go win us the game, even though you have a concussion.
I don't know if you've seen the Creed movie, but he like had his eye was swollen shut and the trainer was on the back of his neck like tapping however many fingers the guy was holding up. That was full sin what was happening.
So, but the fact that the 49ers defense didn't cover Davante Adams in those, Aaron Rodgers threw the ball twice in that last drive, got it down the field into field goal range, already started celebrating because he knows Mason Crosby, his kicker, who's been with him for eons, is money, and was just like, yep, that's what happens when you give me 30 seconds on the clock. Like the 49ers should have clock managed that, I think, a little bit better, but I still think that Aaron Rodgers would have still made it down the field.
Oh yeah.
Whatever amount of time they would have kicked the field goal and still won the game.
They they thought they were clock managing it right because like they made sure the whoever it was that before they scored the touchdown that first play, they made sure he stayed in bounds and they were huddling. They were having a fun little comment that like, we got this. Aaron is so washed up. We scored our touchdown. Woo woo woo. Next thing you know, Aaron 1, 2 field goal.
Yeah, it was just. It was just beautiful too. It was a great ending to a game because you're like, okay, 37 seconds. Can he do it? Like, can the man do it? And he can.
Because I was tapped out until I was like, oh, here we go. Okay, the 49ers are coming back. Oh, Jimmy G is like, I'm not letting this child take my spot. I had to fight too hard. For this.
For sure. And I think also the Packers, after that week 1 loss, like, everybody was like, oh my God, is something wrong? And I'm like, no, they were never bad. They just went out and they were like too cocky and they just lost that game because they came in and they were like, yeah, we're going to win. We're the best team ever. And it just didn't happen. But now that they're more focused and more in tune with their team, I would say is the NFC as a whole, like, you guys should be scared.
Oh yeah.
Including Tom Brady. I would also be a little bit nervous of the Packers and Aaron Rodgers.
I mean, because this man's on a mission.
Yeah.
I don't know what that mission is yet, but you can see it. Like, especially Davante Adams, like all of them. They're just like, they look different.
Yeah. They're ready. They're ready to go to the Super Bowl. That's the thing. I think it's like Super Bowl or bust, really. Because
honestly, it has to be. I know it is for Aaron, and everyone knows it probably is for Aaron. And they're like, if we don't win the Super Bowl this year, he's not coming back.
No.
If I was him, I wouldn't come back either.
No, because why stay?
It's literally like you're giving the girl her proposal every year. You're taking her to the NFC Championship. You're giving her the proposal. And the day before prom, you're like, can't go.
Yeah. Going to the NFC Championship game every year and just not making it. It's heartbreaking, really. It's really heartbreaking.
He's like, I don't have to do this anymore. Like,
no.
What am I gaining from this? Nothing.
And he said, actually, sometime last week, I think, that he was like, yeah, if I did leave the Packers, I would have went to the 49ers. Like, that was like one of his things that he really, really wanted. Yeah, which would come full circle because the 49ers passed him up in the draft when he was drafted. That would have literally like blown up my mind, everybody's mind. But I have a feeling Aaron Rodgers is here to do what he needs to do, and he's laser focused at this point. And I think so is this defense. The defense is getting a little bit better. They still have a little bit of things to work through, but as a whole, the Packers are definitely back on track to being this, if not, the NFC champions, Super Bowl champions. But that is our pretty much a recap of major things that happened in week 3. Let's talk a little NFL week 4, a little preview before we wrap everything up. So I asked you to pick three games that you were most excited about to watch next week and your predictions. So give me those games and how you're feeling for them.
First game is the Broncos and the Ravens. When I saw that on the schedule, I was like, we're getting Teddy versus Lamar this early in the season. I'm here for it. I mean, because Teddy's Teddying right now. He showed the Panthers, y'all were a ding dong for letting me go. And he's having the time of his life. You got Lamar and them, they're figuring it out. They had a little rough week this week, but they're figuring it out. And that's just going to be a good game. And it's coming on at 4:00. You know how there's America's game of the week games are. It's like, oh, why is this game so dramatic? I'm trying to take a shower before I watch Sunday Night Football.
Right.
Calm down. And then my next game was the Lions and the Bears. And I chose the Lions and the Bears because they're basically on the same league. Even though one is over 3, one is 1. No, everyone's still kind of in that let's figure it out stage. And also, that's going to be a very big game for the Bears. If the Bears go 1-4,
yeah, bad.
It might not be a good week 5 up in Chicago. And my last game was the Raiders and Chargers. For what we were talking about, that's going to be a big game. Whoever wins that game, they're going to have so much leverage.
Yeah,
I'm ready for it.
Yeah, actually, one of my games was also Raiders Chargers, because not only is it divisional, but it's going to, especially if the Raiders end up beating the Chiefs down the line, whoever wins this game is this is going to be the more powerful team in this division. So I'm excited, and I'm going with the Chargers. I'm picking the Chargers to win this game because while the Raiders defense is fantastic, the Chargers went up against the Washington football team's defense and were able to win that game. So I don't see how that's any different going up against this Raiders defense. So I'm definitely
agree, because they can score points, and that's what the Raiders are lacking right now. They can't really score points.
Yeah. So I think that the Chargers are going to win this game, and I'm not even being biased. I genuinely think that they are. One of my other games was Cardinals Rams, because again, as a divisional game, it'll be very telling because both of these teams are 3-0. Somebody's going to lose this game. And in this division, I mean, the Seahawks are doing great, and the 49ers, they just lost, but they're not a bad team. I do think it's going to come down to these two teams. I actually, in a hot take, said the Cardinals were going to win this division. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in this. But apparently the Rams have never lost to the Cardinals in the Sean McVay era. So I'm gonna think that the Rams are gonna end up winning this game. Probably.
Well, I said in a very bad hot take because I'm very awful at these predictions, y'all. I said that maybe the Cardinals could go to the NFC Championship or the AFC Championship. I forget which
NFC.
Yeah, the NFC Championship. I said it. Now I probably jinxed them because I said it. But I mean, I would not be shocked.
No.
And I would love that for DeAndre Hopkins, Kyler Murray, JJ Watt. I would just love it for all of them.
Yes. And this is a really, really good team. I think they were good last year, but I think they're only better this year. They didn't make the playoffs last year, but I think that's because they are in such a competitive division, and that's just the bottom line. So this is going to be a very interesting game to see because I think it will be a shootout. Kyler Murray has been so good. So good. And him and his cute little baby Yoda touchdown dance that he does, or he sits down and does this thing. I'm like, oh my God, I love it. I love it so much. He's just killing the game. So I think that's going to be a really interesting game. And my last pick here, Sunday Night Football, Buccaneers, Patriots, the return of Tom Brady in New England. Did you see the promo for this game?
Yes, I saw that. Adele. I was like, who called up Liddell's? I want to know how much that cost, because it costs like $17 million
to
for
get
that 30-second clip.
So good though, worth every penny.
I literally was sitting there. I was like, someone really did it. Like that was like the idea you had, but everyone's like, no, we shouldn't do that. And then someone was like, what the heck, Bob? Let's do it.
Why not? I was like, the fact that they were able to put that up and I think the reception was like 100% positive. Like not one person was like, oh, that's dumb. Like it's literally Tom Brady going back to his old stomping grounds in New England for the first time. This is the only team, I believe, in the NFL that Tom Brady hasn't played against.
Mm-hmm. Which makes sense. Play against yourself.
And it's Sunday Night Football. Him and Bill Belichick going off up against each other in that weird relationship that they have now. And after seeing Mac Jones get picked off like 3 times this weekend, Patriots don't stand a chance.
But like the fact that it's only a Sunday Night Football game because it's Tom Brady going back, because in any other world, this game would come on at 1:00 because they know we all know what's gonna happen. This game now, I'm not saying it's not gonna happen, but we know. We know what's up.
The thing is that I hardly bet against Tom Brady when he comes off a loss, and he came off a hard loss to the Rams this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
You could tell him you can always tell when he sits on the bench and he's just sitting there and he just like looks angry. You're like, oh no, I'm afraid of that Tom Brady. So he's going to come out, revenge game, coming off a loss in New England. Like no chance that Mac Jones outplays Tom Brady. It's not going to happen.
At all.
Not gonna happen. But that's going to be a fantastic game. I'm very, very excited for that. So that is our quick little NFL Week 4 preview for next week. Ashleigh, thank you so much for coming on and talking about the NFL with me.
Thanks for having me. If y'all want to, hear what I have to think about Monday Night Football, make sure to come over there. We'll be talking about that on Thursday. We're talking about some college football, mostly the drama, not any of the games, because the games are boring. There's a lot of drama.
That's the best part.
There's a lot of drama that happens. We'll talk a little bit about the games, but yeah, this week's gonna be fun. Thanks for having me.
Of course. All right, everyone. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. You can find me on Instagram at The Girl Who Talks Sports and on TikTok. Find me on Twitter at TGWTS Podcast. Make sure to subscribe on all podcasting platforms. On YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube right now, make sure that you give us a thumbs up. And I hope you all have a fun, fantastic, sports-filled day. And I will see you guys all next week for NFL Week 4. Bye.